Hey guys, it's JG here with EARTH-5D Ascension School, back for another teaching. Where you are the light, you are the path and the way. Where we here at EARTH-5D Ascension School talk about the right use of energy, right? We've all got energy, and how do we want to use it for the highest good for ourselves and the planet? So I'm pretty stoked today, guys, to talk about density and dimensionality, density, and how that relates to love and consciousness and the twin flame divine union. Okay, so let's just get into it, see where spirit takes us. I'm excited, I'm glad you're here, so let's jump in. Okay guys, so if you want more information on what I do, you can go ahead and visit EARTH-5D.com. okay, listing it here. All kinds of services about how to bring consciousness to you, spiritual coaching, readings, meditations. Okay, my goal is to help you to experience ascension in the sense of reaching some higher frequency so that you can navigate Earth and escape, like sort of the matrix, right? Escape the frequency that's held us in place in this kind of hologram of crap. Okay, hologram of enslavement. Okay, so when we're talking about dimensions, humans think about dimensions as points in space, right? On an like second dimension on the axis of X and Y, you would think the second dimension is a point on there. We talk about the third dimension, we would see it as like a cube, right? Something that you could move in a three-dimensional way, like in a CAD design. But what I want to talk about is dimensionality in terms of density, which is taking it out of like a physical time-space dynamic, because on Earth is the only place that has like the time-space dynamic like we do here. And when we're talking about higher frequency, we don't have that, okay? We don't have that. Even in the fifth dimension, there is no timelines. There is no 0 to whatever or negative to whenever, right? There is no timeline. That is a human construct. So you can think of time more along the lines of, my glasses on, more along the lines of a circle, okay? And so this is still kind of rudimentary in the sense of just trying to give a metaphor in the third dimension that would help you understand this. So imagine all your lives are like a necklace, a pearl necklace, and each pearl is a lifetime, okay? And so they just continue to go in a circle. They are coming at you from many different directions, right? There is no timeline of events per se, except for on Earth. And that's only happened because our DNA was tinkered with, and so we have a very, very, very limited sense right now of our place in the cosmos. Okay, so when we're talking about density, it's a better conversation to talk about fifth density than fifth dimension, because when we're thinking of fifth dimension, that's when we get into these misunderstandings where we feel like we're going to go to Mount Shasta in 2012 and get zapped into another place, okay, like off planet. And so that's just not how this is going to work. So when we're talking about ascension, we're talking about raising frequency. We're talking about frequency, we're talking about raising our density. So you can feel when something is dense, right? It feels heavy, a dense fog, right? Or something dense that you're trying to cut through. It's not easy. So when we're talking about a lighter density, fifth density, it's easier to maneuver through. It's a higher, lighter density. And so that's what we're going for here in this place, Earth, who's been sort of entrapped and enslaved in this strange dynamic that we have been trapped and enslaved in here on Earth. Whatever it is, we came here for a reason. We came here probably most likely to help others while also helping ourselves. So even if you're a higher dimensional being, we are still trying to make judgments. We're still trying to help others who are trapped. We're trying to help ourselves. We're trying to help the various races that we come from. So it's not like our hands are always squeaky clean. We're trying to make good judgment calls, right? We're trying to make good decisions for humanity and other places in the cosmos, and not always are we successful, right? So we're in this kind of strange dynamic on Earth where there's this matrix, and then there's this ability for human beings to go past that, to surpass that third density and move into higher densities, okay? Fourth density being the bridge, the behind the veil, which you can't see with the human eye, which the naked eye, which we used to be able to see, and which we will begin to see, okay? Which is that understanding of what are all those creatures in the fourth dimension? That's where all the elves live. That's where all the fairies live. That's where all the mythical, quote unquote, mythical creatures are, okay? So those mythical creatures aren't so mythical, okay? It's just we're having the right eyes to see. So there's a place where that's non-material, that is behind the veil, where there's an etheric realm of beings, okay? So that is the fourth density, just checking the time. Okay, so when we're talking about the fifth density, we're talking about a lighter place of being. And this is what we're striving for, is to get beyond the matrix and just be ourselves, to express ourselves with love and light, to be in that frequency of harmony, to do no harm, to help others. Like when you think about the idea and the concept of having to pay for food, it's like asinine, right? It's to have to pay for survival, it's just such a strange concept when you think about it from a higher dimension. So there's just so much entrapment and enslavement here in the 3D. And so what we're doing is we're looking for penetration out of it. And one vehicle for that is through romantic love, okay, through love. Now, when we're talking about density of something and not a dimension of something, it becomes pretty simple to see what we're connected to when we're connected to a relationship. So if let's say there's X, Y, and Z person, let's say it's Max. And, you know, I have a connection with Max, and I feel like Max is my twin flame, okay? So if I'm projecting all of this kind of dark, heavy energy onto Max, that's not a high density, right? That's a heavier density. So when we're talking about divine union, we're talking about bringing higher frequency to it. We're talking about bringing light to it. We're talking about bringing a higher density to it. So imagine that just to begin with, okay? Is that we're not dealing with third dimensional concepts of you should be this, you should do this, you know, and trying to control or trying to manipulate. This is about bringing higher frequency of love to the connection number one. Jesus does this very good by teaching, and love is patient, love is kind, right? So when you're in alignment, first of all, you want to make sure that you're in alignment with the frequency of a higher density of love within yourself. So if you're projecting all sorts of heavier energy on somebody, that's going to be first of all, very difficult to sustain, okay? And because that isn't where we're going. So we're looking for patience, we're looking for harmony, and we're looking for a relationship with another where we're not pouring heavy emotions, heavy density upon it, because that's just stuck in the third dimension. Now, when we're talking about, do you have multiple twin flames? Okay, I'm gonna add that in here. If we're talking about, do you have multiple twin flames? I see it a lot like, just like when a man has millions and millions of sperm, right? When it enters a female, okay? There's millions of chances for that sperm to reach the egg, right? But only one's gonna make it. Okay, only one's gonna make it. And that's the lucky one, right? That's the one that can swim the fastest. That's the one it makes it all the way to the egg. However it makes it there, whether if it's more intelligent, whether it's stronger, whatever it is, it makes it there. And the universe provides in our biology, our human biology, millions of opportunities for that to happen, to ensure that one of them makes it. So it's odds, right? It's probability. And I feel like with a divine union or a twin flame union, that it's a very similar concept, that there's not just one person and you and this higher frequency love is relying on one relationship. So I'm going to link my video on what's the purpose of twin flames right here, so you can get a background on why we even have twin flames. What's the purpose? The purpose is to raise the frequency of a family. Doesn't mean you have to have kids. We're talking about family like grandparents, parents, dogs, cats, aunts, uncles. You don't have to have kids to have this conversation. So we all have many different types of families these days. Friends become family, right? So in this discussion, we're talking about probability. So I believe that we are constantly bouncing in and out of timelines, right? And there's different probability with each partner that you meet, okay? And it's based on where they are, and it's based on where you are when you meet. And so I believe that the Divine Feminine holds a flame within her, and there are many individuals on different levels of consciousness, different timelines, who can have this template for the female to ignite that person's flame, okay? Now, out of like 10,000, let's say I'm a female looking, in love with men and want a man in my life. Let's say I'm a female looking for a husband, okay? That there could be, I've noticed in my life, in the lives of my clients, multiple people that hold the template for that flame, and they're all in different frequencies. And it's just like Spirit provides many opportunities for the fertilization of the egg, hence millions of sperm. I'm not saying there's millions of men that can be your twin flame, but I feel like it's a very similar concept, that it's not riding on one, that if you aren't able to sync up with someone who can create this huge blast of consciousness that you get in a divine union, and that's how I would say you measure a divine union, because there's a huge blast of consciousness and awareness, and suddenly your whole perception of reality has changed, okay? And now you'll never be able to go back. You're woke. You are woke. So even if you say it's the red pill, even that's a bit distorted, because the red pill would seem to denote something more on a lower frequency, since red is the color of the first chakra, but that's another conversation. So you enter this sort of awareness of consciousness that wants you to, it's pushing you, and it's kind of like igniting something in you that's pushing you to have more and to do more and to be more and to know more. You suddenly don't want to be asleep. You want to know. You just want to know. So, okay. What would this look like? I feel like what it would look like is that I'm in love with Max. I ignite Max's flame, which is sort of like a template within him. And when we're together, Max is alive. Oh my God, this is the most beautiful flame. And he feels this, and it's igniting this sort of dynamic of consciousness and synergy and beauty. Now when I leave Max and I go on and, we live our separate lives, because we can't always be glued to each other, Max has to hold that flame by taking the invitation to consciousness. And if that doesn't occur, then you can keep igniting it and keep igniting it and keep igniting it and keep igniting it. But that doesn't mean that that person will ever fully embrace it. So that's when I feel like Spirit just brings another person along. Now, this isn't gender specific, so I know a lot of men are carrying this kind of divine feminine energy. Men that are biologically born a man are also carrying this feminine energy, and that's perfect. Like, this isn't gender specific, this isn't gender bias. So whoever is carrying that flame of the divine feminine ignites it, doesn't matter gender, and voila, eventually someone will be able to hold that flame and carry that flame, and you'll be able to have that divine twin flame union. The key is not to get caught up in the who. The key is to focus on the what, who you are, how you can nurture your flame, how you can listen to Spirit, how you can connect to the 5D energy outside of the heavier third dimensional densities. All right, more on that next time. I've talked enough today. So I love you guys. And if you need help with your own situation, feel free to look me up down below. And I just offer you guys so much love and light. And I'm holding space for your absolute highest good always. Okay? And I love you. Bye for now.